Here with reaction and a preview to tomorrow's hearing, Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter. Congressman, I start with you. That's about as many questions as I can spit out in 15 minutes. The questions have to be short, concise, and if he doesn't want to answer, it doesn't matter. Tell the American people about Russian interference. There was Russian interference. There was a dirty dossier. There was a premeditated lie on a FISA court 4 separate times to spy on the Trump campaign, transition, and presidency. Tell the American people that Russian story. Mark Meadows, agree, disagree?
I agree with that. There needs to be fewer speeches and more questions, like you said. Make sure that Bob Mueller has to answer those. Even with the reporting that John Solomon just broke here just a few minutes ago on your show, when we look at this, the conclusions that Bob Mueller reached are not supported by the facts. And, you know, it's interesting. Adam Schiff is writing a letter saying he wants to go beyond the scope of what is reported. He really doesn't want that, because the deeper we dive, the more we see that this whole report and its conclusions starts to fall apart.
Yeah, and we're just hearing, by the way, that Mueller's former chief of staff will be sworn in at the Intel hearing tomorrow, not judiciary. Which one is going to be in behind closed doors, Sarah?
It's certainly behind judiciary, but look, he's bringing his staff member because he really has to have a grasp of the questions that are going to be asked of him. Robert Mueller is going to be faced with certainly a lot of questions coming at him in millions of directions. We know that the DOJ has asked that his testimony be limited, Sean, just to the report itself. But think of all the exculpatory information. I mean, this is what Congressman Meadows is talking about. This is what Trey Gowdy was saying to you, what he left out. And one of the most important parts of John's story was Joseph Misfud. And if he was ordered by the intelligence community, particularly Western intelligence, to arrange a meeting between George Papadopoulos and the Russians, this is going to be very interesting, because that would mean he would have to have a predicate, the intelligence community, to do such a thing. Were they targeting George Papadopoulos? Were they targeting the Trump campaign? Why did this happen? And the fact that they went on the record, yes, they were spying on him. They spied in different directions. They spied on foreign soil. They spied in the FISA warrant that allowed them a backdoor into the Trump campaign and then transition, then presidency. Mark Meadows, what are the 5 big topics you want Republicans to absolutely hammer Mueller on?
Well, one, why did he not get to the bottom of the dossier that was false, that we know is false? The credibility of
Russian
Christopher
dossier.
Steele. Russian dossier. Why did they not get to the credibility of Christopher Steele? Why did they make connections to Russia when they weren't there? You know, some of the reporting tonight that would indicate that. Then ultimately, who was the one who led this investigation? Was it a trap? Was it something that was set up? We're finding each and every day that this whole collusion narrative that was out there, that Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler keep talking about, was really not there. And then finally, the spying that actually occurred. Why did Bob Mueller not come clean and show that indeed that there was surveillance that nobody has really talked about that was done inappropriately and without a proper predicate?
You know, Sarah, I realize guys like, you know, Mark Meadows is not on this committee. You got a chance tomorrow to interview?
No, I wish I were, but we're helping. We're working with a team. We're working with a team. But
Jim Jordan, I trust. Devin Nunes is going to be great. Ratcliffe knows his stuff. Gates knows his stuff. Doug Collins knows his stuff. But I'm worried about some of these other people. Sarah, what are your top issues you want covered and asked?
Look, I think one of the most important and the most valuable questions that they need to ask is to focus in on why did they not look at, you know, with Stefan Halper in particular, and even with Joseph Misfud, was there information that he left out of his report? That, particularly with questioning Carter Page, was there exculpatory information that we should have known about? Did they say, as we have heard reported, that they had nothing to do with the Russians, and why did they continue to push for a FISA? And they need to ask these questions.
If he ducks, if he dodges, if he wants to give monologues, cut him off at the pass. Ask him yes or no questions.
Make him answer the question.
And tell the story. Right. Even if he won't cooperate, tell the American people what really happened. That's what tomorrow needs to be about. That's my humble talk show host advice. But what do I know?